When they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther, you know? Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
And now he's been promoted. His job, principal.
What's going on, folks? This is Uche and Njoku, Sneaker Principal. And it is September 12th, Tuesday, about 9:30. It's been a long day. So I'm up roughly about 4:30 every morning. And it's how I function. I got to get up early and do my thing. And it leads to very long days. I didn't get home till about 6:30. I was pushing, actually more like 7:30. You know, this is the lot that I've chosen as a school leader. Some people might say, you know, that is too much. You shouldn't be, you know, you better have a work-life balance. But the work requires that I am on and focused and committed to what I do. So it is what it is. So all those you school leaders out there that are working this type of life, honestly, I love it. But some people don't. But those of you who do love it, you know what I'm talking about, right? So I want to first start off by sharing with you something that I came across recently. You know, I think it was probably late night and couldn't sleep. I'm kind of like, you know, that bad habit of going through social media. And I came across a video that blew my mind. In this video, they were defining the word humble. As many of you know, many of us were raised to be humble. We're being told, be humble. That's a tremendous trait. It's an amazing ability to have, to be humble. In this video, somebody was defining the word humble, and the context was the power of words and how we marry ourselves to certain words and not realize what the word really means. So it's interesting. I have never, ever in my 47 years of life actually read the definition of the word humble. But I was raised to be humble. I was told that that was the thing to be, and that's how you garnered respect, by being humble. So let me read to you the definition of humble. It says here, humble, adjective, having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. One more time. It's an adjective, and the first definition here says having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's importance. He was humble about his stature as one of the rock history's most influential guitarists. So when you get that example, it sounds like, wow, but we know this person, we all see who this person is. So he's being humble. But the core definition of humble is actually lowering your estimate of your own importance. Number two, of low social, administrative, or political rank. It's interesting. Why would you want to frame yourself in that capacity? Having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. And also, I'm sorry, one more. The verb, lower someone in dignity or importance. So it's all about making yourself small. And I don't know whether that's the way you should live your life. God didn't create us to be small. If we were created in his image, if that's what you believe, if we were created as an amazing miracle of life, why would you want to be small? I understand being arrogant or cocky or however you want to define that and making yourself bigger than everybody else. Yeah, that can be tasteless, but minimizing yourself can have an impact where you start to live a very small life. So it's something I just thought about because, again, reading that definition, I don't know if I want to tell my children to be humble. I want them to be polite. I want them to be respectful. I want them to be confident. I want them to not be overbearing, but humble, to intentionally make yourself small. I don't know about that. But hey, if you're hearing this definition and you haven't thought about it, please share in the comments. But that's something that struck me. But let's get to today's topic. Let me open my notes here. So today I want to talk to you about facing adversity. Specifically, leading through self-doubt and adversity. So we're 3 days into the school year, at least 4 days in the book. It's Tuesday. So we had last Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. So 4 days into the school year. So that what do we have left? 176 days. It's funny when you put it that way, but yes, 4 days in. And I'm hearing from a lot of my colleagues how rough it's been. Not everyone, but enough where they're like, man, the kids came back a little wild. Somebody told me there were 3 fights on Monday, and it's only the 3rd day of school here in New York City. And those who were struggling with all the things that we're being asked to do, all the compliance things, which is normal. But I mean, I'm 20 years in the game. I am at my 3rd school, so as a principal, then several schools as assistant principal. So nothing is like nothing's rattling me, but I also have experience behind me. But I think about a lot of my colleagues who might not have as much time, or even those who are brand new, and leading, depending where you are especially, can cause a lot of self-doubt. You go into a thing to yourself, I'm ready for this, I've been trained, and I've been dreaming for this for how long, and all of a sudden now you're in the seat, and you're not contending with more than just the title and the position. You're contending with people who might not necessarily believe that you deserve to be in that position, people who just naturally are adversarial and they want to do everything to make your life difficult as a school leader. For some people, it's a sport. I know a lot of principals and assistant principals as well who become so cautious and so careful and so stressed out, and they watch what they say, how they move, and they just don't want to get in trouble. And then you have those who know that, so they want to kind of like feed as much negativity and as much doubt in you, and it takes a toll. And people wonder why so many principals don't stay for very long. Why so many administrators, leave the profession or even step down out of the leadership, because those stressors eventually start to kind of wear away at your confidence. You start questioning everything you're doing, and everything is just hard, stressful, and it has an impact on your health. It has an impact on the way you relate to people and your emotions, and it's tough. It's tough. Let's be honest. There's a misconception that leaders, not just in schools, across the board, that we just have it together, that we're just naturally born leaders, or we just have that if factor where we're able to do what we do with ease. But the reality is this. Let me tell you right now. The constant, wearing away at who you are through people's comments and people pushing back, and the issues and the conflicts and every different things coming at you, the compliance and emails, all those things. After a while, you find yourself up at 11 o'clock at night, still trying to get through the emails, just trying to make sure that you didn't miss anything. And then, next thing your 8 hours become 6 hours, your 6 hours become 4 hours. And some people just don't even sleep, and it just wears at them. And it's something that is, I think, at the root of why a lot of people just don't last in the profession. So let me do this first. Let's start from the beginning. Let's understand self-doubt. In the high pressure world of education, and especially in spaces where you might be leading a school that is struggling, that maybe it's been struggling for years, and this is your first opportunity to lead, right? You're walking in there, and you're like, okay, I want to be a principal. I'm going to get this place, this school. I'll take anything. Then you walk in there and you realize years and years of failure, of just, let me change that, years and years of low performance. So let's not say failure, low performance. And you're like, at the beginning you're thinking, I can turn this around. And you get in there and you notice it's not just academics. It's a cultural thing. The school itself, the community itself have just kind of accepted this is what it is. And now you're thinking to yourself, wow, I thought I took a job to turn academics around. Then you realize, no, I got to turn perceptions and culture around. But then it's not just the kids, it's teachers. It might be the community, parents. And then you realize your job that you thought that you were in there to just move academics becomes, no, you're changing what might feel like changing the whole entire world. And it's on your shoulders. And you're being assessed, you're being watched, you're being literally told in sometimes the most boldest of ways that you can't fail. Like everything is on you right now as an individual. Turning around years and years and years of what has been, that you're going to come in and make that something else. Once you're sitting there in your own space quietly, you're thinking about it, you start to really be like, what did I get myself into? And what that does, that self-doubt starts to creep in, and you fight it, you push it into the dark spaces of your consciousness, and you're like, no, I'm gonna put it in that corner. But then every time something happens that is in the space of negativity, that self-doubt becomes a voice and saying, maybe you can't do this. Maybe you took a bigger bite than you can chew. All these different things starts to kind of like, well up in you. But one of the things that I've learned is this: self-doubt is always going to be there. Even me, after all the years, there's always those moments where I'm just like, did I make the right decision? Oh, wow, did I miss something? Oh, wait a minute, I did that. Oh, my God, did I mess that up? But I learned a long time ago to recognize, hear the voice, and have that conversation with myself. Sometimes you gotta talk to that voice. Oh, you messed up. Oh, my God, you're in trouble. How did I mess up? What am I in trouble for? What is it that happened that cannot be fixed? Oh, that happened? Well, I don't know how to fix it. I'm going to reach out for help. I'm going to talk to someone. All those conversations are very important in countering those moments of doubt, right? And it's one of the things that I have turned to a superpower. I do not ignore that voice in my head. Sometimes driving to work in the morning, the music is off, everything's turned up, and I'm just thinking, I'm processing, I'm asking myself, what is it that I'm afraid of? What is it that is making me doubt myself? And I work it out. Often we forget that it's important to find that quiet space and just listen to yourself, and then respond to yourself. Come up with solutions. If you're able to stop and write down and journal, you journal. You unpack it. And this is something that's been very important to me, because one of the things, I like to read a lot of biographies from leaders and historical figures. And I've not come across one that didn't suffer from some level of self-doubt. One of my favorite historical figures is Jesus Christ. Because you see this man who was framed as being perfect in every way. His knowledge of self, the way he interacted with the world, the way he taught, the way he supported, the way he healed, all these things that he did, they were just miraculous and so amazing. And people were like, I want to be just like him. But in the hours before he was arrested, as he knelt and prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, he doubted. He said, this is too much. God, please take this cup away from me. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm not a minister or anything like that. But I'm thinking back to those Bible school, Sunday school stories. And I'm thinking to myself, if this is God in the flesh, why is he doubting? But then you realize doubt is part of the human existence. Our greatest leaders, our greatest performers, our greatest artists, our greatest thinkers all doubted themselves. But it's that self-talk. Mind you, he used the garden, he was talking. He was praying, he was talking to himself or talking to God, however you want to frame it. We had that conversation, and then when the time came, he was ready. Doubt is part of the human condition. It's just something that we have to deal with. But for you to be able to deal with it, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to just accept and understand this is what this is. Because you can't have self-doubt and then try to ignore it and not see for what it is, unpack it and try to get to the root of what is causing it. And you might realize, okay, I'm doubting myself maybe because I'm afraid that I wasn't ready for this. Maybe I'm afraid because, I just don't do well speaking in public. Maybe I'm not a good communicator. But once you recognize these things and you're willing to be vulnerable enough to unpack that, then if I feel I'm not a good communicator, how do I become a better communicator? If I'm dealing with fear of whatever this thing may be, how do I not deal with that? What are steps I can take? But you have to be vulnerable enough to accept that that is what it is. And then you'll be able to find a solution, or at least work towards it. So let me share with you some strategies here on how to deal with self-doubt during adversity. Number one, set realistic expectation for yourself. You're not perfect. You will never be perfect. So why do you walk into spaces with this persona of perfection? If anything, it's the lie. And the thing about lies have a way of becoming their own creatures, their own beings. And those beings start to whisper, you're not really who you say you are. You're not really able to do that thing as good as you think you are. Then ultimately what happens is the self-doubt kicks in. You start to doubt yourself because you're telling yourself that you're not good enough. So set realistic expectations as a leader. This is what I'm good at. These are the things that I struggle in. This is where I need help. And you build your team around you, honestly, around those things. And there are things that I'm great at. There are things, you know what, it's a little bit of a struggle. I've done them enough times that I'm like, okay, I'm proficient at. But if I could get somebody on my team who's better than me on that, why wouldn't I? I don't want to lead as a jack of all trades and master of none. I want to be able to hone in on the things that I know that I am great at. Because by honing on those things, I'm not doing everything else. But by honing what I'm great at, I can find people who can complement my areas that might not be as strong. Because like I always tell my leadership team, if it's two of us, we're a two-headed principal. If there's 8 of us, we're an 8-headed principal. We're like Voltron. We all connect and become the mighty, giant robot, that exercises all these abilities because every facet of my team is powerful. Together, You can't stop us. That's how I become more confident and minimize self-doubt, because I know that I have my bases covered. The other thing too is this: seek mentorship, and that's one of the hardest things has been for me. You know, I've been fortunate to know a lot of people, and I do struggle with asking for help. It's just one of those things I think is a part of the human condition. But over the years, I know who to call. Who I can say, hey, can you help me with this? Can I talk through this with you? And you might be watching this video right now, and you know who you are, or who you are, plural, that I've reached out to say, this is what's happening. What do you think? Even right now, there's a couple of things in my school where I'm just like, I need a little bit more wisdom in this. And sometimes the person who has the answer or the potential to point me in the right direction might not even be a fellow principal. It might be an assistant principal. It might be a dean. It might be a teacher that I know who just knows more about that thing. And mentorship doesn't have to be somebody who's above you. It could be somebody who's just more skilled at something than you are. So you want to make sure you put value into your learning and learning from others who've traveled the path that you're on. The other thing too is self-reflection. You gotta meditate. You gotta take situations that happen and sit down and unpack them and make sense of them. If you handled it the right way, great. If you didn't, what can you do better next time? It has to be something that you become really good at. That's self-reflection, listening to yourself, talking to yourself, then reflecting on, like, what did you hear? Why did you hear that? How can you fix this? What needs to happen next? You know, these are very, very powerful things to engage in. That's why I say journal. I'm not a big journaler. You know, I mean, let me take that back. I can when I need to, but sometimes I just sit, eyes closed, and breathe. And just breathe until I forget that I'm breathing, and my mind takes me to places where I can actually walk through what happened. I can stand there in the room and see the interactions, or see the incidents, or see, wait a minute, kind of like the eagle's view from the sky. Look down and say, if I had done this, move this over here, maybe not done this, or maybe put these people in the right places, it might be different. And then I acknowledge it. I say, okay, I see what happened. Now, next time, there's the game plan. Or even better yet, this is how I can fix it. You know? So self-reflection. So again, the first thing, set realistic expectations of yourself, seek mentorship, and also acknowledge sometimes it might be a peer, it might be a subordinate. You know, seek the people who know, regardless of their station in life, because you don't have all the answers. And be mindful and engage in self-reflection. You know, you have to remember that self-doubt is just a temporary state. You know, it's literally temporary unless you dwell on it and you give it such a big stage that you just have it there all the time. But if you choose, it should really be temporary, because if you go through the process that I share with you, all of a sudden you start to see, okay, all right, I see what happened. Once you see what happened, you have a solution. Guess what? The doubt is gone, but you know what to do next time. You know, it just be something else, but in time, there are less and less doubts, because you become more and more capable of handling multiple situations. Let's talk about adversity in closing. Adversity comes in many forms. It might be trying to balance your own personal life with your work life. It might be trying to balance out that the personalities that you're leading. It might be a shocker, something with your health. It could be something with your school community. You know, I've shared this in the past that the last school year that I led in, the school year started off with one of my students being murdered. And it's something to be said about being with people that you admire and you've developed a bond with, and then they're snatched away from you. Then you're in spaces where everything around you reminds you of them. Then you're in spaces where you become afraid that, wait a minute, am I going to lose another kid? Am I going to lose somebody? Am I going to lose another person that's part of my sphere, my community, my family? Adversity, can be a mother. Let's be honest. It is. But you have to remember this. If you address adversity the right way, you can grow from it. You can become more resilient. Just that from that one incident, the way I move now, I'm so much more aware about the importance of the work that I do as a leader. If I learned anything from that, because you can't save everyone, you can't be there for every situation, but however, you can learn from adversity to better empower yourself and those around you, so they don't have to repeat the same mistakes that you've made or that you've seen. Think about this. Think about the challenges you've had in your career. Think about the challenges you have in your life that you've actually been able to overcome. Were you worse from it, or were you better? When you can overcome adversity or those challenges, you become better. It doesn't mean it didn't suck. Doesn't mean that you might not be still suffer some trauma from it, which can still be addressed. But once you come out of something, you're always a little bit better, or at least a little bit more equipped to handle such situations. Not all the time, but most of the time. Adversity can be an opportunity in disguise. Just remember that. Adversity can be an opportunity in disguise. Embrace it. And remember, new skills. I'm sorry. And remember, you're not alone in facing it. And if you're alone in facing adversity, it's because you've chosen to. You've chosen to. You don't have to be alone in adversity. All right. I hope this is helpful for someone out there, because this is part of the journey of leading. Whether you're a principal, assistant principal, you're a teacher leader, you're a team leader, you're a parent, you're a spouse. This is life. Yes, I'm addressing it from the point of view of being a school leader, but I know that someone listening to this right now, that hopefully this is helping. I always forget to do this. Please do not forget to subscribe. Click on the notification bell, so when I post about a new video, you come across it. But even more so, leave a comment, because I love reading comments, and I like to know that the things that I'm saying is impact at least even one person. And with that being said, it's that time for me to go to bed. Actually, I got to do maybe about 2 or 3 emails, but no, it can wait until the morning. All right. With that being said, have an amazing, amazing night. And until next time, be well. All right. Peace.